Hi everyone. I'm sure many of you do know, but for those that don't know, Sanskrit Research Institute, it's a project here in Dhivehi, and in Sanskrit we call it Sanskrita Gaveshana Samsthanam. And could I get that slide control? I'm just going to introduce the project, and then one of our volunteers, who's going to become a newcomer, I believe, an Aurovilian, he's doing an interesting project. We do multiple simultaneous projects, it's not just one project at a time. So most of you will know the context of Auroville in Sanskrit, that both the mother and Sri Aurobindo, it was a very significant subject. Sanskrit is a language, and language is possibly our greatest technology. As a species, it's really what differentiates us. And Sanskrit was a very consciously created language. It's a yogic language. It's a language that allows us to connect with the entire extent of what India has produced in terms of its thought output. So we're in Auroville, and this is the context, and both the mother and Sri Aurobindo made it an official language of Auroville, and also a language that needed a lot more light shone on it, and a lot more depth. So we're focused on research and producing educational materials. So we started in 2010, but we formalized in 2015 with SIA. It's very much so volunteer-powered. We've had 40 volunteers. A lot of volunteers join, and then they onboard as newcomers and Aurovilians. Daniel is one such example that is in the process. And we are creating educational research tools. We've done more than 20 tools. I'm not going to go into the depth of what we've done. It would need an hour and a half or longer, but there are videos on YouTube. If you look for the Sanskrit Research Institute, you'll see this every year or so. We present what we've done. And we do a lot of posters. We were asked by Dr. Mishra from the Aurobindo Society many years ago to produce posters for children. So we create these open source posters, and they're now being translated into Russian, and they go out to educational institutions and are used. And Daniel will speak about one specific poster, an interesting one that we're going to touch upon. And we also host seminars and conferences. We've had Dr. Ramanath Sharma do Panini workshops. Panini is the Vyakarana, the ancient approach to grammar. It's very systematic. Linguists will find it very fascinating, particularly. And I travel and I give lectures whenever I travel and I get invited. And we currently collaborating with the India International Center. We also have a collaboration with Google. It's actually Google Research, not the corporate side of Google, the non-commercial side, because we're working with huge amounts of data, and Google's very good with data. And we're collaborating with Wikimedia Foundation. There was very few of the major Sanskrit works properly represented in Wikipedia. So Daniel has actually had some training with them, and he's, besides the project he's going to present today, the Dhivehi project, he's going to be creating stubs for articles, and then we're going to create a community to create more awareness of the Sanskrit literature in Wikipedia. And we've got a moonshot project now that most of our team, I would say 80% are working on. It's really to create an overview of the extant literature. There's about 10 million manuscripts. For those who don't know, already pre-Gutenberg, it was the largest corpus of written material on earth in any language of any civilization. So it's a very challenging task, but we have partnered with many institutions that are helping us. And we do many simultaneous small and medium projects. Daniel will present one of them. So we've produced a lot of tools. I won't go into the depth. Dictionaries and frequency tools, linguistic tools for Sanskrit. And we've also been recently invited, after the University of Cape Town saw our work, they invited us to work with endangered languages of the San and Khoi people. And this is very significant because they were actually considered by many linguists to be the first languages. These were the click languages. You may or may not, but I will give a presentation on that in the near future. So from Auroville and from Sanskrit, we expand outwardly, which is what human unity is meant to do. And we've produced more than 10 posters. This was a poster can take 6 months to a year of research. It'll usually be a multidisciplinary team working on a poster. This was a 2-panel poster. What we did is, everyone knows about the Indo script. If you don't know, come to me afterwards. It's an unsolved script. We don't know if it's writing or not writing. It's from the Indus civilization, and it's in India, it's in Pakistan. It stretches, if you look at that map, you'll see all the sites are there. So all we did is we traced all of the characters that, ironically, most of them were under copyright. Because the photographs were in museums and they wouldn't release them. So we actually had an artist trace every character, And then we just sorted them very innocently by what a child would say. They look like a person, they look like a bird, and then we ranked the frequencies. And we just put it out there. And obviously we work with many scholars. We work with Akshay Papola, and also there was Dr. Mahadevan in Madras, he passed away. So we try to make sure that the scholars are satisfied that we're doing it, and also to root it in the consciousness that Orville is meant to represent. So this is one of the unsolved scripts, and we wanted kids to have this in their classrooms and try to solve it. It's 2 panels. This is just one of them. So we work on a lot of posters. We've made games. We do these workshops. This is Dr. Sharma. He's probably the greatest living Paninian scholar, and he's in his 90s, so we wanted to record it and document it. And he will come again after COVID is dissipated. This was our team a few months ago. The team is on campus and off campus. And I'll hand you over to Daniel. He's been volunteering for the last few months. He's going to speak about a language that you may or may not know about. It's called Dhivehi. It's the language of the Maldives, and it is extremely closely related to Vedic Sanskrit, and particularly Sanskrit. And most people don't know this because of religious divide. The Maldivian historians are more concerned with post-Islamic history, but from a linguistic perspective, it shows the proximity. And Daniel will just speak about the poster he's producing. So I'll hand you over, and any questions we can field afterwards. Thank you. Over to Daniel.
Hi. So we're trying to do a poster on the Dhivehi language and its connection to the Sanskrit language. And I try to give you a very quick overview. So Dhivehi has only about 300, 400,000 speakers. It's spoken in the Maldives, of course, but also in India, because Lakshadweep is an Indian Union territory, so it's actually an Indian language derived from an Indian language. It comes from an old Prakrit, but we don't really have much of the history. Most of the history comes from the linguistic studies, actually, of the Maldives. So not many people are researching it. So we're trying to fill it in the gap. It's very close. Maldives are very close to India, and so there's a lot of sort of cultural similarity also. Here are some examples of old scripts. On the top, you see the oldest script, which is originally 6th century, written in Sanskrit, and the oldest writing in Dhivehi is from the 12th century. And then there is the slightly newer script called Dhivehi, and then the modern script, which you can see here also, is actually not related to Sanskrit. It's a sort of a modern invention, 16th century or so. And I tried here to show that here's the Brahmi, and here's the oldest Dhivehi script. So you can see there's a bit of resemblance, but often the resemblance is not clear. But I think you can see that this looks very much like a Brahmic script. And we've done a poster, or Shri has done a poster on Brahmi. So you can have a look at the website if you want, and just do some comparison and check out the alphabet. And even the modern script is related to Sanskrit or Brahmi ultimately, because the Tana, as it's called, the alphabet, is derived from numerals, from old. This is Brahmi numerals, and then they've taken the very similar ones in the older scripts and then in the newer scripts. So even the new script has a relationship to Sanskrit. Here are some examples of words. Dhivehi itself comes from Dvipavasin, which means island dweller. The scripts are called Akuru, which comes from Akshara, meaning syllable. And many of the words, I think you'll recognize very easily, like Bhasha and Purana. You have all these words which are very, very similar. Even the word dharma exists in the Dhivehi language still, even though it's not part of their culture. They don't have this concept of dharma, but they still use the word dharma to refer to morality or justice. And some words are just the same, like Uttama and Manas. Here are some other common words. These are all derived from Sanskrit. Many words are not from Sanskrit, they're from Urdu or Arabic, some from English. But you can find many examples, and once you understand the phonetic changes, you see that it's much more close than most people realize. For example, here the word for verb is kan, which comes from karma. This is a mock-up of our first draft of the poster. I don't know how well you can see this, but you can see we try to cram a lot of information into for the script. For example, here you can see that this is the aspirated consonants. So you have ta, but you don't have ta in Dhivehi. So this is empty here. And so we can give an overview of just how the script looks and how the sounds are in the language. I've given a detail here. So here you have the Devanagari, this is the letter Ka, and then Brahmi, and then the older scripts and the modern script. We're collaborating with linguists from Germany. Dr. Jost Gippert is one of the few who has studied the language in great depth, and we're basically using his knowledge, his research. But we're also working with Dhivehi from the Maldives, and he's able to give us a very modern, indigenous inside view, and it's a very helpful combination. We're also trying to do some digital tools. We want to have a more comprehensive dictionary. There are very few tools for this language online, and we're trying to improve that and add to it. And yeah, so this is it. Once the poster is ready, I invite you to have a look on our website.